A month ago, I was in Las Vegas with fellow Breaking Points contributor James Lee. We were there attending various political events, met some very nice people. What is not to love about Las Vegas? The nightlife, the residents. In just 2 hours, I was able to turn $40 into $25. And this permanent error message portending good fortune. But one of the first things I noticed flying in, sports facilities. Football, baseball, golf. To me, golf always seemed more like an immersive board game for rich people, but Las Vegas actually has a good amount of sports teams. The Golden Knights, the Aviators for minor league. In 2020, the Raiders moved into Allegiant Stadium, and in 2028, just in time for the Harris-DeSantis presidential debates. Or maybe Newsom-Haley, or maybe Tulsi, Liz Cheney as a Democrat. That's the one I'm gonna go with. I'll be reposting anyone in the comments who can conceive of a more cursed presidential showdown than that. Just in time for that, in 2028, Vegas might just be adding the Oakland, Las Vegas Athletics to the roster. But here's the thing, the move is unpopular, expensive, and has resulted in the Athletics suing, of all people, Nevada State teachers. This is where the A's currently play, the Oakland Coliseum. It holds 57,000 people, and it's been the home of the Athletics since 1968. Now, it was 2002 when Brad Pitt and Jonah Hill moneyballed the Athletics, and so they were coming off playing some great seasons. This is what John Fisher inherited in 2005 when he bought the team for $180 million. But things have changed in the last few years. The team's attendance never recovered after COVID. They finished last season with the worst record in baseball, and now John Fisher is trying to move the team out of Oakland.
All I can do is say I gave everything I had to try and make things work.
Oakland actually offered them quite a nice deal, which included $495 million in property tax kickbacks and $279.5 million from the state. Oakland also made a $180 million request for a federal mega grant from Joe Biden's infrastructure bill. But note, the mega program supports large, complex projects that are difficult to fund by other means and likely to generate national or regional economic mobility or safety benefits, which to someone like John Fisher, who is worth $2.9 billion and whose parents founded the Gap, of course a new stadium for his baseball team for him would qualify as critical infrastructure. But as it turns out, the Department of Transportation disagrees and didn't award the grant. And so what else could you do but pick up and move to Las Vegas? So the new ballpark would be where the current Tropicana Hotel and Casino stands. Tropicana's doors are gonna close in April of this year, and they had limited time left on this earth to begin with, so the stadium only sped up the process. And there are a bunch of reasons why this particular site is probably a bad plan, not least of which is this. The team currently resides in the Bay Area, which has 8 million people in it. Yes, they have to share the Bay Area with the San Francisco Giants, but still. In Las Vegas, on the other hand, they would be the only major league team, and Las Vegas would have no choice but to root for the A's. Except there are only 2 million people in Las Vegas, so they are moving to a much smaller market. And then there is the size of the stadium itself. The new ballpark will hold about 30,000 people, the smallest park in baseball, and they plan on 8,000 of those people being tourists. That's 8% of all the tourists who come through Vegas in a day, all going to a baseball game. And what's really crazy actually, they are currently averaging about 8,000 people to a game in total in Oakland. To make this plan work, they would need to match their average attendance in tourists every game in a market a quarter the size. Now, the reason I'm talking about it is because the public is gonna have to help pay for it. How do you feel about $380 million of taxpayer money going to build a stadium?
Well, I'll tell you about that. I hate it.
I don't agree with any of them overrated sports anyway.
What kind of stadium?
Baseball stadium.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
Don't support sports in general.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Beneficial purpose in the long run, I think it'll be good.
That's my opinion. I don't agree with taxpayers getting the rip for what rich guys are going to make.
Probably shouldn't be spending taxpayer money on it.
And the public doesn't have to help pay for it because, one, there's no evidence that stadiums bring the kind of economic development that they always claim, and two, he's a billionaire who could do it himself. And we know this because he said so. Fisher said he and his family have the equity to finance the more than $1.1 billion in private funds needed for the stadium's construction. Now let's remember something. A budget is a list of priorities.
We have never prioritized education the way that other states do. Our funding formula up until a few years ago was archaic. It hadn't been updated since the 1950s. We finally did update it in the 2019-2021 legislative sessions. Unfortunately, updating the plan didn't come with any new funding or revenue. Basically, you're just cutting a pie in a different way than you would normally cut a pie.
Nevada is one of the worst states in the country in terms of K-12 education. And for Alexander Marks, this is a familiar story.
In 2016, we got distracted with the Raiders Stadium, which is now the Allegiant Stadium. That was a $750 million giveaway for a stadium.
Now fast forward a couple years, there was a bill that proposed smaller class sizes. No hearing. Universal lunches got vetoed. A summer school bill got vetoed. A school safety bill got vetoed. But when it came to building a stadium, a special session was convened to vote on SB 1, which committed $380 million to the new A's Stadium.
We've got the Allegiant Stadium up the street. When that stadium was being proposed, they said public education would receive about $13 million in revenue from that. Well, we're $2 billion behind each year. Cannabis brings in $120 million annually. So pot gives more money to public schools than the Raiders.
But one fortunate thing came from this, and that was an unlikely alliance between Nevada educators and fans in Oakland who don't want to see their team leave.
So during the regular and special session, the phone lines were flooded with a lot of California folks calling in. They started reaching out to me and colleagues and other educators in Nevada going, how can we help? How can we do whatever you guys are doing? So we formed this really unique partnership of Oakland sports fans and Nevada educators to try to kill this stadium deal.
Unfortunately, the bill passed and that money is available for the stadium. But that's not quite the end. They are looking at two different paths for fighting this that would both hopefully default the team back to Oakland and save $400 million or close to it for the people of Nevada. One is a constitutional challenge to the vote on the A's Stadium, the idea being that the bill that made the stadium money available violates the Nevada state constitution in various different ways. The other is to actually ask the people of Nevada what they want. So Nevada educators filed for a referendum to be put on the ballot.
The goal was to put a statewide voter initiative to the people. So we did that through a ballot referendum we filed last fall. It's very expected that somebody would file a referendum challenge. It usually happens to everybody. So it's expected that we got sued. We honestly weren't expecting the A's to sue.
Yes, the A's are suing to keep the referendum off the ballot so that people don't have the option to choose whether or not they want to pay for the stadium. Because as we've seen elsewhere, when you put tens of millions of dollars on the ballot and ask people if they want to build a stadium with it, sometimes they say no. This move is probably a bad deal. People of Oakland don't want it. Educators in Las Vegas don't want it. They want money for education. The mayor of Las Vegas said the A's should stay in Oakland. The only person who really seems to want it is the billionaire in the equation. And for the Nevada legislators who approve this stuff, you have a professional hockey team, a professional football team, maybe soon a professional baseball team. You have F1 racers on Las Vegas city streets. You've made hundreds of millions of dollars available for these sports venues, but rank toward the bottom in education. I mean, if the most complicated thing people in your state know how to read is the scoreboard, that's negative. But you know, my dad's a Mets fan. He taught me to hate sports, so I'm a little biased. And that is probably where I should leave it. My name is Spencer Snyder. If you found this video interesting, make sure you are subscribed to Breaking Points. You also can check out my YouTube channel where I talk all about media and politics and things. Link in the description. Liking and sharing always help. Thank you to Breaking Points. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.